The birds and the bees. This symbol conjures up what for you? What do you think about when you hear the birds and the bees? Well, for most of us in our culture and society, we think about sexual behavior. When we think about sex culturally, when we think about sex individually, we often think about different things. Culturally, you might think about aspects of human sexuality in terms of laws, like HB2. You might think about sexual behavior in terms of STIs, sexually transmitted infections, or sexually transmitted diseases, STDs. You might think about sex from a macro perspective, from a cultural perspective, in the context of pornography, movies, that is the mass media and its impact on our understanding of the world in which we live, specifically related to the birds and the bees. Or you think about your own experiences from a micro perspective, how we engage in sexual behavior, our first kiss, our first sexual experience, sexual intercourse, etc. We might think about sexual behavior in the context of a loving relationship. We might think about sex in the context of a hookup, also referred to as Netflix and chill contemporarily. So when you think about sexual behavior through the sociological perspective, again, our focus is on learned behavior. So how do we learn about the birds and the bees? Well, first and foremost, sociological data is clear. We, most of us at least, don't learn about sexual behavior from our parents. And while it is certainly true that parents do speak to their children sometimes about sexual content, largely, most of us learn about sexual behavior from our friends. We also learn about sexual behavior from the mass media, as mentioned just a few moments ago, as well as other social institutions. And we formulate ideas and patterns of behavior from our own experiences as well as those social institutions that impact our understanding and knowledge of sexual behavior. Thus, in our own culture and society, we have some very specific sexual scripts. Think about a script in the context of a play or a drama. You're an actor, and you're given a script, and you have to learn that script and act out that part. Well, culturally, sociologically, from a macro perspective, our culture and society has created the script for us. We have traditional scripts for males and traditional scripts for females when it comes to how we're supposed to engage in sexual behavior. At a micro level, our sexual scripts may be a little bit different than the norms of the culture and society that we belong to, but often not so much. These sexual scripts are often very, very different for males and females, which leads to a double standard. A double standard when it comes to human sexuality and sexual behavior. For example, it has long been accepted socially that men can have numerous sexual partners as long as they are female. We're certainly talking about heterosexual couples here primarily. That men can have numerous sexual partners, and it's a symbol. It's symbolic of their worth, of their manliness. However, women traditionally have not been afforded those same kinds of social understandings. The double standard is a woman that has multiple sexual partners is likely going to be stigmatized and marginalized. That she's going to be called names like loose or whore. When we discuss the scripts of human sexual behavior, sexuality, the ultimate understanding sociologically is that whether the script is creating inequality and double standards, or whether contemporarily we have more equal scripts, we still are learning about human sexuality. We learn about human sexual behavior, not just through our experiences, but also through our culture from a macro perspective. So our focus this week is on human sexuality through the sociological perspective and sociological imagination. That our private lives are influenced by the larger social variables in our culture and society.